Hey everyone, it's Rachel. Today we're going to do another random style Q&A where I will use a tool I made to randomly select your questions from a community post and I will answer them on the spot. At the end, I'm also planning to look through the questions that didn't get answered and pick a couple of my favorites that got missed. One last thing before we jump into it, I just wanted to mention that I'm actually going to be traveling for a good portion of October and the beginning of November for a few different reasons, and when you see this video, I might actually already be doing that. If you'd like to follow my outside of YouTube adventures as well, or just see more frequent updates in between videos, you can always follow my Instagram at Rachelf Guitar. I'll have the link to the description. I love the community over on Instagram as well, and I'd love to have you be a part of it. Alright, now let's get into answering some of your random questions. I have not looked at the questions, so let's see what we get. Okay, let's find the first random question. Gavin Johnson said, "How'd you learn to alternate pick?" Good question. I think that I mostly learned alternate picking through practicing working on songs, and actually, now that I think about it, early on, one thing that really helped me to get down my alternate picking was just working on a really simplified version of the song Hall of Mountain King and just kind of running through that a lot. It was really good for getting used to doing alternate picking across strings, and it was relatively simple on my fretting hand, so that was good because I could focus on alternate picking alone. So I'd really just recommend finding a fun riff or a fun part of a song that you enjoy and then just trying to focus on using your picking hand and really just thinking about that aspect of your playing. Over time, it'll become pretty natural and you won't really have to think about it. Okay, next question. D No said, "Is there a solo or a song you want to learn or are still working on?" Yes, there are lots of songs that I'd like to learn and lots of solos that I'd like to learn. One that I've been working on recently actually is The Trooper by Iron Maiden. I've actually been working on it for quite a while, but kind of on and off because I keep getting distracted by learning other things, and recently the nerve issue in my middle finger came back, so I haven't been able to play as much, but that is one I am almost done with. I had the solo at like 95% speed. There's just one area that kind of trips me up, but it's really close. It's just now I'm going to be away for the next month or so, but it will get done. It's a really fun solo to play and one that I think has helped me improve quite a bit over the last few months. Okay, next question. Sean Trailer asked, "Do you know how to make a grilled cheese sandwich without burning it?" Good question. I actually don't think I've made grilled cheese in years, so the answer to that might be no. But I can usually make toast without burning it, so if that's about the same, then maybe yes. Okay, next up. Jakester Max asked, "What are you working on right now?" So that was kind of answered in one of the last questions. I was working on The Trooper by Iron Maiden, but I kind of stopped because of my hand, and I also got distracted working on my last Ghost cover, but that's something I was working on, and I'm not sure what I'm working on next outside of that. I was actually thinking about trying to write more original music, and I did kind of actually start doing that and trying to write lyrics for an original song as well, so maybe I'll get back to that, but yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on recently outside of my latest Ghost cover. Next up, Level 100 Mafia Boss asked, "If you were to choose a Gibson style guitar, which one would you pick? Les Paul Standard or Junior Dot or a SG?" So I haven't really been that into Gibson style guitars, as you can probably tell by my Super Strat collection, but probably if I were to get one, it would be an SG. I think the style is kind of cool looking, but I'm just overall a lot more into Super Strat style guitars than I am into the more Gibson style guitars. But who knows, maybe one day I will get one and end up loving it. Next question. Tuka asked, "I hear many people say it's bad to learn with tabs to an extent, and they all say to try to learn by ear. Is this something you've found true in your progress so far?" Also, thanks for the Twitter help. No problem about that. I think it kind of just depends on the person. I think it's definitely really good always to work on training your ear, but you don't have to do it all the time. It's totally fine to supplement using your ear with also using tabs or watching videos. It can be a combination of things. I personally just don't like using tabs. I'd prefer to watch a video lesson or just a video of someone playing it and figure it out by a combination of that and my ear. But if tabs work well for you, then I say you should definitely go for it. Whatever makes learning fun is good to do. You'll have to use your ear anyway if you're using tabs because most tabs aren't 100% correct, so you might learn with a tab and then have to figure out a part by ear that is not quite correct in the tab that you found. So yeah, really, I think whatever works for you is good. It just kind of depends on what you like to learn with, and as long as you're enjoying it, that's really the most important part, and you'll make a lot more progress if you're enjoying the learning process as well. Next question. Elid Venega asked, "Do you have a checklist?" I'm not totally sure what that means in this context, but I do use lists and notes when I'm planning videos and just things in general, so I have many checklists, I guess. Next question. Camp Wender asked, why do you sort of look like Janis Joplin? I'm not sure that I can answer that question. I don't think that we are related, so probably not that. Next one. Ron asked, favorite guitarist? I get asked this a lot, and I think I've answered it before in other Q&A videos, but I have a lot of favorite guitarists, a lot of favorite bands. I don't just have one necessarily, but if you've been following my channel for a while, you probably would see that one of my inspirations is Nita Strauss. I just love how she plays. I love her energy and her attitude with her playing, so definitely one of my favorite guitarists. But also just inspired and like all the guitarists in the bands that I'm into, so yeah, I have a wide range of favorite guitarists and favorite guitar players in bands. Okay, next question. Mary Gurung asked, is it really important to get guitar classes or just learn it online? Well, Mary, I actually just learned it online, so I think it just depends on how you learn best, really. Some people will do a lot better if they have classes and an instructor to talk to and kind of plan things out. I personally am pretty self-motivated and I really like teaching myself and finding things on my own, and I kind of like that method of teaching, but it really depends on the person. It's definitely possible, totally possible, to teach yourself through all the great online resources and online teachers on YouTube and just on the internet in general. So kind of up to you. If you want more structure, then I would go for a teacher. If you're maybe okay with less structure, then totally fine to try to learn via internet resources. Of course, though, I'm sure anyone can benefit from taking a lesson from a really strong player. They'll definitely notice things in your playing that you wouldn't notice yourself. Next question. Fat Philosopher asks, how do you divide your practice time? How much is devoted to practicing scales and chords, and how much goes into practicing actual songs? So I pretty much mainly just practice actual songs because that's what I find most fun, and I'm able to learn a lot of things through that. Now, I do think it would be good to maybe put some more time into working on scales because I've only kind of worked on the pentatonic scale mostly at this point and that sort of thing, but usually I just learn when I need to. So if I'm learning a new song and it has a new technique or a new chord or something like that, I will then work on that technique to be able to play it for that song, and that's kind of how I've learned best so far. But if you do want to work on something specifically and you know you want to, I can definitely see it being a great idea to have some exercises, and I should probably be doing more kind of exercises like that in the future as well, just nailing down a specific technique or a scale. I just personally tend to prefer learning things when I want to apply them and when I see a direct need for them, so it's kind of happens naturally for me and with my progression of what I'm learning and the songs that I'm working on. But really, there's a lot of different ways to do this, and it could be totally valuable to split up your time between both. Next up, Scott Winchester asked, what equipment do you use to record your guitar? I love your covers, by the way. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Scott. So I've made a couple of videos on this in the past if you'd like a more in-depth explanation, and I can link those in the description. But basically, as a basic overview, I use my THR-10 amp to record the direct signal from my guitar into Reaper, and then I use Bias FX2 for my tones, and that's kind of the main setup. I will also sometimes use a Scarlett Focusrite 2i2 to record guitars and also record a microphone. But really, those are the only two things I use for recording. Just use them as audio interfaces to get the direct signal from my guitar, and then I just use software to get all of my tones and do all of the editing. Next one. Ayame Chan asked, what do you do when you hit that weird phase that feels like you're not improving on guitar? So I actually made a video talking about this pretty recently called The Truth About Guitar Progress. But my general thought on this is that everyone goes through stages where you feel like you aren't making a lot of progress or maybe even making progress backwards. And if you look at things on a larger scale though, that won't be true. So I think one thing you can do is maybe try to look back at yourself a year ago or just a month ago and just think about all the things that you've learned since that time. Or even think back to your first day or first week playing guitar and how you couldn't even put your hand on the guitar correctly to where you are now. I'm sure you've made a lot of progress, and if you think about it on a large scale like that, it is a lot easier to reflect on and see compared to just looking at things day to day. Even if you aren't seeing it right now, if you're practicing, you probably are making progress. It just might take a little bit to notice. Progress doesn't always feel linear. It definitely changes over time, but if you look on a large scale, I'm sure you'll see it. Another thing that can help here is if you can start recording yourself more often so you can actually look back at clips you were playing and see the different things you've learned since then. Next question. Pereira Bronco asked, At first you said you didn't have much time to train because of work, etc., but always found time. Do you spend more time today? I believe you had a faster learning in year 2 onwards. When we learn music sounds right, motivation increases. Was it because of this? So there's kind of a lot of questions to break down here. First of all, do I spend more time practicing today than I did when I first started playing? And I'm not really sure. I think today, actually, my time is more divided amongst a lot of different things that I do for YouTube. So I'm practicing guitar, but I'm also editing videos and working on audio production and things like that. So I'm kind of learning a bunch of different skills at once. So in some ways, my time is actually more divided, and it's not only just practicing guitar, because I'm also thinking about things on a larger scale and different aspects of my guitar playing and things related to my guitar playing. So I'm not totally sure if I spend more time than I did when I was in my first year playing. It's just kind of different right now. I still have all of the same time constraints I had in my first year of playing guitar, and I'd love to be able to practice and play more, and I'm going to try to keep working on being able to do that more. But things haven't really changed in terms of that since my first year playing. I do, however, always try to play and practice for at least an hour a day, as long as my hand's doing okay and I don't have any other issues like that, because I think that helps just keep me consistent and keep me learning. But it doesn't happen every day. It kind of depends on what I'm working on and how things are going, how my videos are going, and if I have to do editing, things like that. So it varies, but I try my best to keep consistent. And on the last part, I'm not totally sure if my motivation has increased as I've gotten better. I guess maybe things have changed over time, and I've been motivated for different reasons. Like recently I've been having a lot of fun being able to put together everything myself, like all parts of the audio, and doing guitar covers more quickly than I could before for easier songs. So that's been a lot of fun. And I've just been enjoying different parts of the process as well and enjoying making videos. So I think it just kind of changed over time. It hasn't necessarily gotten more or less, just kind of evolved as my playing has evolved. Okay, I'm gonna do one more random question, and then I'm going to answer one from Patreon, and then maybe answer a few more that I pick out from the ones that didn't get picked. And the last question, Dylan Flowers asked, future guitar purchases and wish list. So I think I've talked about this a little bit before. I'm not totally sure what my next guitar purchase will be. Obviously it's a ton of fun to get more guitars even if I don't need them at this point. I am interested in trying out a Strandberg guitar because I think the design is really interesting, and I'm interested to see how it would feel to play with the neck and the headlessness and the just kind of more ergonomic take on guitar design. So I'm interested in trying one of them out, but I haven't yet, so I don't know if that will be the next one. But I'm interested if you have any suggestions as well. Definitely leave a comment if you have any guitars that you think I should check out. Okay, so now a question from a Patreon supporter. Wayne Tran asked, hey Rachel, after watching your cover yesterday, I was wondering what finally inspired you to start singing in your covers, and do you plan on doing any more vocals? Also, how's the acoustic guitar practice going? So the cover he's referring to here is my most recent Ghost cover. So I guess what inspired me here to start trying to do vocals, even though I'm not good at them and haven't really done much singing before, is that I'm trying to do everything myself now for my cover videos. So for a while now, for all my covers, I've been making the backing track and doing everything myself, not using anything from the original recording and just trying to put it all together on my own. Well, for some songs I can definitely do instrumentals. I kind of feel like some need vocals, and I also felt like the Ghost songs are kind of within my vocal range, even if I'm not able to sing them perfectly yet. So that's kind of why I started trying to do them. I also honestly had a lot of fun with doing the vocals. It's just something different for me, and it's really fun to be able to make something completely from scratch on my own using my voice and the guitar. So yeah, I think I will probably do more vocals in the future. Practice makes better, so working on more covers will help me to improve my singing. It will just kind of depend on the song I'm working on and whether I can actually reasonably attempt vocals or not. And if I can't, maybe I'll just do an instrumental or maybe work with vocalists. And as far as the acoustic guitar practice goes, honestly, it's not really been going. I haven't really played it that much. I've been mostly focused on electric guitar, and I don't have a ton of spare time right now to kind of work on both, and electric guitar is my priority. So I've been focusing on that, but I do plan on making some videos with it in the future. If you have any suggestions on acoustic guitar, things that you'd like to see from me, definitely leave them in the comments. And now for a couple of last questions that I picked out from the ones we didn't get to. Eduardo Serda asked, what is the meaning of learning to play guitar? Does it mean to learn the basics of how to use a guitar, like learning the basic chords, or is it just learning how to play your favorite songs? And is learning the basic chords important? So I think it's hard to define what learning to play guitar means because it definitely is different for every person and depends on your own goals for your guitar playing. So for one person, that might just be learning to play your favorite songs to be able to do covers. For another, learning to play guitar might mean learning to be able to write your own music and learning the skills that will get you there. And another person might just be really interested in getting really technically skilled at guitar and being able to play really fast. So it kind of changes depending on what your goals are with the instruments. Learning basic chords is definitely a great way to get started because it gets you used to putting your fingers on the guitar in different positions and switching between positions quickly. So I definitely recommend doing that to start out. It also gives you a basic vocabulary of kind of how to play different notes on the guitar early on. But if you'd rather jump into power chord things or just playing single note scales, that is totally fine. Whatever your goals are, you should work towards that and figure out what will get you there. The Rifter said, I'm having trouble with tremolo picking, and I was wondering if you can give me some advice. Well, for me, the way I learned tremolo picking was through learning the song Mr. Lou by Dick Dale, or at least the Dick Dale version. That helped me a lot getting up to speed with it and just getting comfortable with it. So I'd really recommend either starting there or with a similar song and just trying to get it down. Punisher1101 asked, when did you start learning full songs and solos? I've been playing for around a month now and all I know are some of the riffs to my favorite songs. I think that I didn't learn my first full song until like my 6th or 7th month playing guitar. That was Square Hammer by Ghost, and before that I was mainly just learning riffs and some solos as well. I think learning full songs can be really great for your playing, and it's probably better overall for your skills than just learning parts of songs because you have to think about playing on a larger scale and think about how things connect together and transitioning between different parts. And I always try to do that now rather than just learning small parts of songs when I can. But if learning riffs and solos is more appealing to you and it will inspire you more to play than learning a full song, that is totally fine. Really, whatever is most exciting to you is good. I do personally find it really fun though to be able to play through an entire song along with the original song, kind of pretend that I'm in the band or just record my own cover of it all the way through. It's really fun for me now, but it's totally understandable if you're just starting out and you're maybe into more technical music. It can be really hard to learn a full song. So I think that it is fine to start working on riffs and things that will get you up to speed before tackling harder songs and getting stuck. But if you're interested in learning full songs, there are definitely songs at every level in most genres that you can start with. If you're interested in learning a easier metal song, one might be Breaking the Law by Judas Priest. I learned that pretty early on. A bunch of Ghost songs are also on the relatively easier side, and even some Metallica, like For Whom the Bell Tolls, has some good parts to learn. At least the main rhythm guitar part isn't too bad. So yeah, overall, I think learning full songs is awesome and it's a lot of fun. But if you feel like you need to build up your skills a bit before you take on that, that is totally fine to just start working on parts of songs and play the things that are fun to you. Marina asked, are you having singing lessons or are you learning on your own? And if you learn on your own, how? So that's a good question. I don't have any singing lessons, and it might be a good thing for me to do because I have no idea what I'm doing. I did look up a few lessons on singing, but I've actually found it harder to figure out than learning to play guitar on my own because I think it's kind of more assumed that you know what you're doing with singing starting out than guitar because kind of everyone starts out singing at some form when you're a kid. But I feel like I don't know the basics of how to actually sing well and how to use my muscles correctly, so something I need to think about more. I haven't really practiced that much outside of working on a few covers, but it's something I'd like to learn more about and kind of figure out how to get better at. So if anyone has any suggestions on the best resources for singing online, please let me know in the comments. And for one final question, Lyric Bread said, what do you think of the new Ghost single? Well, if you haven't been able to tell, I am an absolutely huge fan of Ghost. I've gotten super into them over the last year or so. I just love their sound. I love their blending of 60s, 70s, 80s pop with metal. It just sounds really cool to me and I just love what they're doing. I think also Tobias Forge is just an awesome songwriter and he really knows what he's doing with the band and I'm super impressed by them. So yes, all in all, I loved their new singles. Both Kiss the Go-Goat and Mariana Cross are awesome, and hearing them actually really inspired me to want to do another Ghost cover, which I posted recently. I just love their songwriting and guitar riffs and just overall sound. I'm also super excited for their next album whenever that comes out. I just love what they're doing, and I'd say that recently they've been probably the biggest inspiration of my guitar playing, and also the biggest inspiration on when I'm trying to write my own riffs and guitar-based songs. I just love how the guitar works with their songs, and yeah, I just love Ghost. So if you haven't yet, I highly recommend checking out their 2 most recent singles and just all of their music in general if you haven't heard of them before. So I think that is about it for this video. I had a ton of fun answering your questions, so thank you so much for all the questions and just for being here on the channel. Again, if you might be interested in seeing what I'm doing in between videos, I have an Instagram page at Rachelf Guitar, and I'd love to have you there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.